And welcome to this morning's webinar. Thank you all for your patience in our beginning. If you missed my introduction, my name is Leela, and I'm a project associate at Build It Green, and will be facilitating this webinar this morning. Today's topic is on appraisers, green features, and resale value. Our presenter today is Michael Tidwell. Before we begin, I'll run through the operation of GoToWebinar for those who have never used this platform before. You should see on the right-hand side of your screen this control panel. The panes can be expanded using the plus or minus sign on the left side of each pane. You can use full screen mode by clicking on this button here, which we suggest. And if you'd like to raise your hand at any point during the presentation, you can click on this icon here. You've all been muted for this presentation, but you can raise your hand in case you cannot hear me for any reason, or if you're having technical difficulties with the screen, we can assist you as best as we can. Down below, you will see the questions pane. You will be able to submit your questions here by clicking send, and that way we can address any questions you have throughout the presentation to Michael, or if you're having, again, any technical difficulties. If you can't hear me now, please raise your hand and we can address you and see if we can get that all situated. Great, it looks like everyone's able to hear me, so we're going to move on here. If you're experiencing an echo and you're using the voice over IP, the audio through your computer, sometimes that's an issue. We suggest that you try calling in using a landline. We found that cell phones don't work either. That creates a big echo. You can find that information, again, on the right-hand side panel. You'll click on the button that says telephone, and a number will appear along with an access code. You'll be able to enter this in and use your telephone or plug in your headset that way. Before we begin, I'd like to let you guys know that Build It Green is delivering this webinar on behalf of the Energy Network, which is a local government organization created by the CPUC that provides resources and assistance to homeowners, businesses, and public agencies planning energy efficiency upgrades. The Energy Network primarily serves Southern California, but much of this information can be utilized all throughout California. These services include community education and outreach, such as these webinars, rebate and incentive offerings, such as a webinar we're offering on April 22nd. This webinar is about energy efficiency and solar water heater rebates, attractive financing terms, as well as additional resources that help homeowners take the next steps towards saving energy. Today's presenter is Michael Tidwell. He's been a great participant of Build It Green trainings in the past. He's been very enthusiastic in green building, and we're very lucky to have him this morning. So with that, I'm going to transfer the controls over to Michael, and we'll have a great presentation.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me? I hope so. My name is Michael Tidwell. I have just a brief description of kind of my resume. I have a business degree in finance. I'm a state certified appraiser of 10 plus years. I'm an SRA designated member of the Appraisal Institute. I've completed the Evaluation of Sustainable Buildings professional development program that the Appraisal Institute offers. I'm a certified green building professional through Build It Green. I've completed the National Association of Realtors Green Designee program. I'm a speaker and consultant, and most importantly for this topic, I'm a green and non-lender appraisal specialist. First off, the green effect on our industry. We'll be covering working with appraisers, simplifying the process, ensuring that the appraiser is experienced, and then there will be a question and answer session at the end. This webinar is intended to build upon things that you already know: Title 24, AB 32, California Scoping Plan, industry news, emergence of growth, and of green items. Education that you may have already taken, whether it's the Certified Green Building Professional like myself, NAR Green designation, or you're a lead associate. This webinar will build upon pre-existing knowledge. I won't discuss the details of green features. Rather, I will build on your pre-existing knowledge. Now what? You have assisted your client having a healthier home. It's more comfortable, lowered their utility bills, maintenance, etc. Social awareness has increased around you where people are beginning to ask about green features and clients are interested. Energy efficient is obtained. You've earned your client rebates, appear to increase the value of their home. Now your client wants to know, did my value increase? And this is the thing. How are we figuring that out? Are you leaving that up to chance to have these questions answered? Or are you using a magic 8-ball like you see here, then hoping for the best? Does green features increase value? Well, I can answer that. And the answer is, it depends. Wait a minute though. Wait, before you log off, do not punch your screen. Let me provide some clarity. Let's complete the puzzle. Allow me to assist you in putting these pieces together. First thing first, point out the features that translate to nominal value to an appraiser, which is determined by the market. For instance, I'll say this. Sustainable features like daylighting, FSC woods, etc., and a home's increased comfort, installation, air quality, do not automatically translate into increased market value, but they can increase marketability. This could shift a home from the bottom of the neighborhood value range to the top, or even above or outside that range, without having any sale comparables that are equally green. So additionally, completing this puzzle, first thing first, you got to understand, all appraisers are not the same. They are not the same. Experience levels differ. There are professionals that specialize, like for instance, Charles Baker. He is very experienced at high-end Beverly Hills, Brentwood, Santa Monica homes, 30,000 square foot homes, these massive $30 million homes. He has a lot of experience doing that. So you wouldn't just call any random appraiser when you need somebody to specialize. You have a high-end deal like that. Roy Meyer, he's a non-lender appraiser specialist. Steve Valdez, Vallejo Schultz, Oral Anderson, those individuals are specifically litigation appraisers or expert witnesses. They specialize in valuation topics in litigation. Understand another thing. Tenure or time in the industry does not translate into expert status in all topics and issues. Appraisers you've known for 25 years may not be the one you need completing this assignment. There are good and bad appraisers like lawyers and accountants and plumbers. Think about the picture. They didn't only need a good plumber. They had a good plumber. If you look at the picture, it doesn't look like anything is leaking. The toilets are immaculately clean, the piping looks good, the towel, everything looks really good. But they needed a good plumber that is experienced in maximizing the utility of a small space, not just any old good plumber. Therefore, you don't only need a good appraiser. You need an appraiser that experience or knowledge in valuing green. Understand, valuing a green home or building currently is a specialty. Why do I say currently? Because the California Scoping Plan, all new construction of homes will be Z&E by 2020 and commercial by 2030. Therefore, in the future, it may become common to appraise green homes, but currently it is a specialty. It's not common, and it is a challenge to attribute value from green features because of the lack of comparable sales. Now understand this. Has this been you in the past after the appraisal to beg and plead, yell or scream at the appraiser, trying to force him to make challenges? That's illegal now. Then your face kind of like becomes the overwhelmed and frustrated like the dog below. Well, Think about this. This exhaustion of energy takes away from your overall productivity, including projects, clients, potential deals, and marketing. Plus, it makes you really look bad. You don't look like the market expert, but it does not have to be this way. You have the appraiser at the inspection. That is your opportunity to inform or recheck to see if your appraiser is informed. The reason why I say recheck, because you can make sure before you order the assignment that the appraiser is informed. So this is what we need to do. Embrace a new paradigm, a way of thinking that determines how you interpret, how one interprets and responds to situations. So look at it. Be proactive in the appraisal process, first thing first. Request a knowledgeable appraiser and inform your appraiser. Now let's dive into these concepts a little bit more. Proactive. Inform the lender of green features. The lender can alert reviewers and whatever the appraiser that they plan on hiring, thus bringing the awareness to all parties involved that's going to be in the process that this isn't a typical assignment. You can definitely request the green appraisal addendum, which will ensure that the green features are reported. May cost a little bit extra, but keeping all parties informed and definitely to ensure that the features aren't missed. And also, most importantly, it'll keep that headache away. Prepare your data beforehand to make sure that the appraiser is informed. For instance, performance reports like HERS or Greenpoint ratings, utility bills, old or new, thus reflecting the cost savings. That's being proactive. Now, request. Request a knowledgeable appraiser. If the lender doesn't have one, introduce one to be newly added to their panel. Because plenty of times I've had clients, whether a realtor or broker, just simply request that I be added on to a mortgage company or a new lender's appraisal panel, specifically because they needed me for a specific specialty. And so the next thing is this. With the request, at that scheduling link, when you get on the phone with that appraiser, ask about their experience with green. Inform the appraiser about the features and upgrades beforehand, because that's the tip. This typically is when they begin to search for their comparables, is before they come out to the property. Here's a quick resource: the Evaluation of Sustainable Buildings Professional Development Program. Build It Green has and is currently sponsoring this Appraisal Institute program. It covers the evaluation of sustainable buildings. It addresses all the green features and valuation issues. Also, the appraisers on the list completed 31 hours of education. So here's a guaranteed source where you can get that for sure knowledge base and experience. It has all the appraisers' names, information, contact information, everything. And if you don't want to go that route, that appraiser that you've been knowing for 25 years, they can take the course. Build It Green is offering it now. So if not, this is a good source. If not, you can refer your appraiser that you prefer working with, that you have that relationship built with already. Refer them to Build It Green, because they are offering the class right now, right here in Southern California. Next thing, we want to inform the appraiser. Email data to the appraiser before inspection, because to reiterate briefly, is typically the appraiser selects the sales comparables before the inspection and have some in mind. Thus, this helps them select pertinent sales beforehand instead of them coming out with sales and having to go back and reselect and kind of bringing that feeling of being uncomfortable or unsure in the situation. All right, next thing. Meet the appraiser at the inspection. Point out unseen green features. Direct attention to key value contributors. Explain the impact on marketability. evidence of premiums, market reaction to features, show and explain the functionality of new features, provide proof before and after pictures. Another thing I think is really good that may be kind of new and foreign because most people don't, most appraisers I say don't ask, but some do, provide offers. Give copies to the appraiser. I know it's not typical. They definitely, but what's definite is that they definitely reflect the demand and can support whatever data that you have because it shows guaranteed offers, guaranteed market participants that put offers in and can support an appraiser's value decision. Understand this. These steps taken will provide clarity and understanding. Increase confidence in the process because you know the appraiser is well informed and you've discussed valuation issues, which this will lead to a clear understanding. Whether the value comes in or not, you can confidently explain the situation, which comforts your seller and your buyer. Your understanding improves your ability to communicate with your client. Also, you grasp the entire situation, making you look like a superstar agent, creating that wow effect with the clients because you've exemplified your knowledge and handle on the process. So let's go through a couple of case studies to provide some practical examples and benefits of working with a knowledgeable appraiser and also simplifying the process. So this is an appraiser I know, a very dear friend of mine that is really experienced and great. Steve P. Ruffmeyer, he's a lead associate professional, building design and commercial is a BDC, what that stands for. And he is located in the city of Anaheim, Orange County. So there was a particular client that had a lot of issues. You see in the picture, they had these solar panel carports installed. They contacted, they're trying to get funding for funding to reappraise after this was done. They had issues with, I think maybe about 2 or 3 different people that came out. They couldn't get the value down because it wasn't that many comparables of all around because the building was recently built. So this was an issue for them. However they found Steve's information, Steve came through in flying colors and saved the day, specifically because he's knowledgeable. So here's the situation. He had to appraise a newly constructed commercial building. It was built in 2009. So the challenges were, it was minimal new construction over the past 5 years because, of course, we know the market had dipped. The majority of the new construction was built prior to 2009. Thus, that new construction that was built prior to the 2009 did not have to meet the 2008 standards because 2008 standards were not enforced until 2010. Meaning that the standards that this building meets weren't required or enforced until 2010. Therefore, it was just a whole bunch of older properties that didn't have no green features like this one did in essence. So this is how the innovation of an experienced appraiser, when you hire someone, and this is another property that Steve appraised here that has solar panels and also other green features. But to continue on with the story, so Steve came in knowing that no comparables at all. So because Steve is knowledgeable and possesses an understanding of the green feature benefits, he had the ability to innovate rather than just kind of go with the it's no comp, so I'm only giving it this amount of value. He associated the costs and the benefits. Therefore, he was thinking outside the box, and that's only because of his experience and his knowledge. So this is what Steve did. Meeting the standards reflects a lower operating cost. That was the conclusion he came to. He utilized comparable office electricity expense that had lowered operating costs by being compliant with the 2013 Title 24 standards. He utilized the actual scoping plan reduction amount of 30%, which is supposed to be a 30% reduction over 2008, with actual reduction of comparable buildings. So he used another comparable building, which was is actually their own home office, which they had a reduction in their electricity expenses of 32%. So the adjustment to electricity expense price per square foot, that reflects the actual and projected improvement in the energy efficiency. So to bring all that together in layman's terms, he took the scoping plan's 30% reduction amount, the actual 32% reduction amount, reduced the price per square footage operating costs, and it came up with an adjustment. Quantifiable data. But someone that didn't really have an idea about the benefits of green buildings and the features of green, they wouldn't been able to do that. Next case study with Mark Brenner. So Mark Brenner has this is for the agents that if you don't have the time to go out and piece all the resources together within the whole process, whether you don't have the appraiser, whether you don't have the time, you rather spend your time on marketing and also building out your business and actually connecting clients, but you want to service all clients and make sure that they're all able to, you know, you want to introduce that green to them, but you don't have the knowledge base. Prime example is Mark Brenner. So this is the thing. Mark, you can utilize this consulting firm to assist and satisfy your client's needs because Mark has all the resources. He knows the HERS rater, he knows the appraiser, he knows the BPI inspector. So energy experts perform all the consulting service. They understand not all new and existing homes need HERS ratings. They ask pertinent questions, they discuss the potential problem areas, and the evaluation of the client's energy bills. So how Mark will fix the situation is Mark is going to make sure, Energy Experts International is going to make sure that they find the problem, not just bring a whole bunch of green features in there, throw them in there, and say now your home is green. They're going to make sure that they find the problem. They're going to connect the resources, which is important, and they're also going to provide experienced professionals to complete the work. So understand this about these case studies. Working with a knowledgeable appraiser is key. Disclosing all information, all known information is a must. It's important that you provide as much data as possible. That's a necessity. Appraisals are driven by data. Simplifying the process. Be proactive. Provide market data. Disclose features. Request a knowledgeable appraiser. If you're not comfortable or lack the reasoning, bring in a consultant firm. Mark Brenner, Energy Experts International. That's what he did. I've seen clients do that. Bring in a consulting firm, you still have a satisfied client, and you still have referrals coming in. This ensures your great service to your clients. And that is all, folks. Here's my contact information. If you would like to contact me, I am on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and below is my email. To the right of your screen is my contact information. And again, I do speaking engagements if you would like me to come out and speak on appraisal topics at any broker or real estate office. Any questions?
Thank you, Michael, for that. We're going to give a few more seconds here for any questions, any last-minute questions. It doesn't look like anyone has any questions right now. So I'm going to take this moment here to let you guys all know about our upcoming webinars. We have an April 9th webinar. Our speaker is going to be John Wilhoit from multifamilybiz.com, and he's doing a part 1 of a 3-part series on property management. We have an April 22nd webinar that I mentioned earlier in my intro about energy efficiency and solar thermal rebates for multifamily property owners. We also have a webinar on April 28th about net zero energy equipment, how to install and operate those, and lessons learned from an expert in the industry. It looks like we do have a question right here. Mike, I'm going to read this off to you as I make this bigger. Sorry, everyone. Okay. Yes, this webinar is recorded, and we're actually going to send out the recording probably today or tomorrow, a recording as well as Michael's presentation slide deck so that you'll be able to have that to reference. Oh, someone's asking for your contact info, so I'm just going to go back and leave Michael's contact info up. Someone is giving you great praise, Michael. Good job, very informative.
Great, thank you. Greatly appreciate it.
Right, Michael did a great job, and as he mentioned before, he's taken a lot of our classes. The NAR Green designation, we have a few classes of those coming up down in Southern California. We have the Appraisal Institute trainings as well coming up rather soon, actually. And then we have a whole host of webinars that we're hoping to deliver for the Energy Network. So if you have any questions, if you have any concerns or want to know any more information, please do not hesitate to contact either Michael directly about his presentation slides or Build It Green. Okay, Michael, it seems like we have some more questions now. How to transfer green features into value? How do you transfer green features into value, Michael?
If there are no comparable sales, I think it's a couple different ways that you can approach it, and one would be towards the cost, and that would depend how it's reflected in the market. And I think one of the most simplified ways to me is if you don't have any comparable sales, which is common, and you have a home with a lot of green features, then you would be comparing that home with all those green features with either a newly constructed property, or you can compare with whatever the high-end home is. Whatever home is maybe has the granite countertops and it's at the high end of the value range in the neighborhood. You would compare it with that. Reason being is because the home with green features, the effective age would typically drop. Depending, of course, this is all dependent upon what type of features are in our home that we're appraising. But at the same time, if enough of those features are there, the effective age, maybe the home was built in 1920, but you've installed so many, you have installation and daylighting and all of these various features, the FSC woods, because you've renovated the property completely. The effective age of that property is no longer 95 years old. The effective age is different. So we would either compare that to a property that has been completely renovated, either newly constructed, or we would definitely compare that to whatever the comparable sales that are at the top of the value range in that neighborhood. I hope that kind of clarifies it.
Do you ever evaluate the energy bill as a way to evaluate green features in a home?
Actually, that's a good question. No, because those savings are strictly to that homeowner. It doesn't necessitate that the next person coming in, because a home is typically appraised for market value on typical like lender transaction. So you wouldn't include or look at the utility bills as savings for taking off of the appraised value, but you would do that for commercial, and that's what I was explaining with the Steve Rethmeyer example. In the commercial assignment, that's what he actually did. But we know that in commercial, they're typically appraising a property based upon income, because this is not just about residing. It's a commercial business. They're trying to make money. So you're appraising on income. So it's a different approach that has emphasis. So that's why you would consider the utility bills more.
Great. And then it looks like we have one more question. How do you apply green labels to the appraisal? So for example, if a home has Energy Star certified or Zero Energy Ready home labels.
So it's two ways. A lot of times those labels have sites where you can possibly, not all of them are the same. There's so many different rating labels, but you can look up and see other homes in the area or nearby that are also have those labels. And so typically with homes, everything is pretty much based upon sales comparables. That's where majority of the weight is. Why? Because when someone goes to buy a home, they don't look at a home and say, how much does a home cost to build and should I go ahead and buy this home? No, they look at the area, what's around there. It's a whole bunch of qualitative things and how also realtors sell the home to them with the area or the school or whatever the case may be. So moving forward with that idea, homes are typically based off sales comparables. So when you have a home, yeah, sales comparables is mainly what it's based off on instead of just a label specifically. So if you would want to find another home with a similar label, or put the emphasis on the features and not so much the label if you can't find homes with that similar label.
Great, thank you. I'm going to give a few more minutes for any last-minute questions, but I think we're pretty set. What I'm going to do now for everyone who's still on is that, like I said before, we'll send out the recorded version of this webinar along with the slide deck. If there's any questions that we happen to miss along the way, we'll address those in the follow-up email. We'll also provide Michael's contact information in case you weren't able to jot it down now. Other than that, it looks like we are all done for the day. I'd just like to say thank you again to Michael Tidwell for presenting very informative, very concise, very great presentation. We look forward to working with you in the future. And for everyone else, please stay tuned for the next upcoming webinars, trainings, events from Build a Green and the Energy Network. Thank you all for your time this morning. We hope to see you soon.
Great. Thank you all.